Hi, thanks so much for joining us today. We're bringing you another episode of Industry.live. We're really excited to speak with Lisen. Lisen is the co founder of Discrepancy AI, and he has had an amazing career. He's been to some really exciting conferences recently and speaks with a lot of businesses about how AI can help them with data. So, Lisen, can you talk to us a little bit about your journey to AI and about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Roy. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, my name is Lisen. I am the co founder and CEO of Discrepancy AI. We help businesses capture, review, and structure documents from their users. So, any business that needs user validation or verification or any sort of document verification efforts, we help them build fully autonomous workflows and implement them without any code. I've been in AI for a very long time now. I was an AI engineer before starting Discrepancy AI. I had another AI startup before GPT-3 was even around. And before Discrepancy, I was a lead AI engineer at a medical document review company. And that's really where I saw kind of the shortcomings with how the industry structures documents currently. And that's where I knew the timing was right. These cutting edge omni-channel LLMs were out, and most businesses were still not using them for complex document processing tools and workflows. So yeah, that's why I knew the industry, I knew what was missing. So I decided to build Discrepancy AI to solve all those problems and help businesses capture documents from their users, structure them, validate them, and look for fraud and any other discrepancies within them.
So a lot of businesses right now trying to leverage AI, they don't have data. They don't know where to find that data because all of the data that they have in their documents in their repositories, it's not accessible by AI. Can you explain that problem in a way that more
Yeah.
people would understand?
Yeah, so it is a huge problem. The unstructured data problem is massive, and it actually causes 1.6 trillion with a T trillion inefficiencies in the market every single year. And that is from documents that have businesses that have documents that they don't know what they are. It's called unstructured data. So that problem is exactly what Discrepancy AI was built to solve. And we kind of use technology that leapfrogs how current people do it, how current businesses are doing it. Currently, the state of the art is to use something called OCR and then take that data that the OCR returns, which is just the text data, and then feed that to some other AI model to do an analysis. Now, what I learned from working as an AI engineer and in the medical document review space is that this is actually not the ideal way to handle it. So at Discrepancy AI, we build a set of AI tool chaining models. So it's like models that pass data from one to the other in a system that allows us to convert data that's found in these documents from the image level or the PDF level directly into structured JSON data. I'll get a little technical there, but into structured data that's exactly how these businesses need. So using Discrepancy AI, all of these unstructured data that are locked in within your business, you can now unlock them, get insights from them, and turn that into structured data that you can filter, sort, and organize.
So do you find it easy to explain to businesses what the problem is and how to solve that problem? Or do you find businesses still struggle despite this explanation?
So there's a couple of different things. Some businesses have this as a severe problem and they're trying to solve it, and it's like a really big pain point for them. They're spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions, a year on labor costs to manually review all these documents. And for them, it's a pretty easy solution. But then there's another side, that businesses that have spent millions of dollars to try and build their own autonomous systems using OCR. And for them, because I call it the sunk cost fallacy. It's also known as the gambler's fallacy. Because they've invested like millions of dollars into this one approach, they don't want to throw all that away at a new approach that's better, faster, higher quality, more flexible. So that has been the biggest push, in that most customers look at the solution, I demo it for them, and then they tell me it's too good to be true. So that's really the biggest barrier that I have, is that technology has changed so fast in the last 2 years, and their businesses are accustomed to a certain way of doing things, that they still haven't conceptualized that how much the industry has changed and how far behind they are, and how better the technology that we're using is compared to like what they're doing in the past.
So when it comes to sort of different companies leveraging the data that they produce through your solution, what are the possibilities?
So we really specialize with businesses that have to capture documents from their users and validate them. So customer validation, KYC, those type of use cases. So if you're a business, let's say for rental screening or mortgage screening or lending screening for loan applications. So whenever there's a business, and there's a lot of these, that they need to validate and extract data from their customers' users, that's where we plug in. We plug in as that first layer, helping them capture these documents. So providing like front end widgets to allow their users to upload these documents, select the right files, as well as the capabilities to use natural language to extract specific information, do specific types of analysis, and then also implement it into their website without any code.
Okay. So sometimes businesses that sort of start um, understanding the documents that they have and creating it into more readable formats. One of the problems they face is they don't know which format to put it into. So, for example, they think about putting it into a document or a CSV, and then halfway through it, the solution that they want to invest in, which is an AI solution, it needs documents in a separate format. Does your solution solve that, and what is the right way to think about that?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So the first step is, how are the documents for, in what format do they need to be for your AI model? And that's one innovation that we have. And the Discrepancy AI platform allows PDFs, images, so JPEGs, PNGs, CSV, or any other type of open source document format. We can analyze and review that. And in terms of like the output structure of the documents, we came to the realization that all of this data needs to be in JSON structure. I call JSON the Rosetta Stone of technical languages. So once we have that data in JSON, we can filter, sort, structure. We can convert it into a PDF. We can convert it into a CSV. Once we have JSON, we can go anywhere from there. So like our model is incredibly robust in the types of documents that it ingests and it can accept, and then it converts those documents into structured JSON data. And this structured data in the JSON format can be easily and trivially converted into any other factor and any other type. Or it's also the best way for them to hand off to other systems. A lot of times these businesses have 20 steps in their document verification pipelines. We want to be that first few steps where we capture, validate, structure, and get the data in those documents in a very concise, structured format that they can then do other things with, whatever their business logic requires. So yeah, that is a really good insight. And the way to overcome that is to have JSON, the structure that you can then go into any other format from.
Speaking with you, it seems like larger businesses tend to benefit from a solution like yours. Do you see smaller businesses benefiting as well?
I see smaller businesses benefiting more. Like me, obviously, I would prefer larger businesses because the volumes are higher. But the reality is that I built Discrepancy AI to allow like product leaders and non-technical people to build these document workflows and then implement them on their website without any coding. So currently, if you want to implement some sort of automated document processing workflow, you need a front-end developer to build out like the widget to allow your customers to upload the documents. You need a server-side developer to handle capturing that document and like saving it. And then you need an AI developer to do the validation, data extraction, and fraud indicators and everything, all of the other stuff. So we kind of have all of those under one roof and have the ability to guide our AI model using natural language and implement it into your website or email or app using just by simply copying and pasting a link.
Okay, that's very neat. In terms of how companies deal with your organization, do they need? Is this like an on-premise model or is it a hybrid model? What kind of model is this?
Yeah, so we've developed a unique technique that we call AI tool chaining. So we're using the best open source models from some use cases. We fine tuned our own models for some specific use cases. And we have our own internal ranking about what model is good at what specific task. And when a document comes in, we run it through these multiple sequential models, one to like extract the data, one to standardize it, one to gather insights from, another to look at fraud. So by chaining these AI models together, we can get better results than any one model can. But that being said, these are all very large, high demand models. So that's why on-prem solutions aren't don't really work yet at the level of quality that our customers expect. So for that reason, we function basically as a white label API solution, but that can be set up and integrated without any coding. They would just paste something on their website. But currently, right now, based on just like the technical limitations of AI, it has to be a cloud solution that runs on the cloud. But we have customers that have lots of requirements on like where the data sits or anything like that, and we do all of that just based on the sheer size of these models. It can't run on prem yet.
So, can you dive deeper into that? So, a lot of companies, for example, in the healthcare space or in financial services, they have regulations, they have privacy to take care of compliance, data governance, data sovereignty, all of those things. What would be the process for them, and how do they think about not just discrepancy, but also just making sure that the AI that they're working with helps them deliver the solutions they need? It's up to date, it's the latest and cutting edge, but at the same time, doesn't sort of get them hit by regulations that would just sort of alter their process and vision.
Absolutely. And it's something that I'm very much aware with, like being HIPAA compliant and SOC 2 compliant. These are all important considerations, but there's no difference from having a cloud-based AI model to having cloud-based document storage. You'd be hard pressed to find document storage providers that work with the medical industry that are not cloud-based, right? They at some level have to be. I think AI is just under a much larger microscope, but all of the vendors that we work with for all of our models do not. We have agreements; so they will not trade on the data that we share with them. We have agreements with all our customers that we do not share with their data. We do not train with their data. We do not share it. They own their data entirely. So these are all just considerations to being HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant, and having your data and models hosted in the cloud is not a deal breaker for that. There is just regional requirements, and we meet all those regional requirements. If there's an American company, they need American servers, we set up American servers. If they're Canadian, we set up Canadian servers and what have you. So just being in the cloud doesn't necessarily make it less safe, less secure, or anything like that. The reality is that 99.99999% of applications that we're used today, no matter how secure, use some level of cloud infrastructure, whether it's through authentication, whether it's through document storage, or there's like hundreds of other different, like the modern software development is built on libraries on top of libraries on top of libraries on top of libraries. So the actual permission structure of your code is not as it's not as internalized as people think, because that's just how modern development works.
Okay. So one when you talk about your solution, it seems like your solution solves a problem, and then that's probably it, right? It solves the problem of having a lot of data locked up in documents that companies can't sort of tap into. And then there is obviously an end to that project. So working with you sort of the company sort of solves the problem they have, and then they stop. What is it that you do to continue your relationship with the company?
Yeah, so specifically, we work with companies that we get. If you have like a million documents stored somewhere, we can definitely help you structure those. But our kind of like main target customers are ones that are actively validating customers every single day. So if you're a rental screening agency, you have like every single day you have multiple people applying for a rental unit that you need to screen and review. If you're a loan screening company, a car lending company, whatever that you are, where Discrepancy AI shines is with companies that are actively accepting documents from their users every single day, and they need to be validated, verified. So like KYC is an example of this. Like other lending applications as well. So that's really where we shine. Is that we the term that I made up for this is we structure at the point of capture. So usually with how everybody else is thinking about this is we'll capture all these documents and then store them somewhere, and then one day way in the future we're gonna figure out what's in these, and then they have 10 million files, and then it becomes incredibly difficult to figure out what's in them. So we kind of take the approach a little bit differently, and we structure these documents as the user is uploading it. And we also validate, and our AI agents do a lot of like back and forth with the customer to make sure that they're uploading the correct information. So like think about if you've ever applied for a house like a mortgage for a house. How many back and forth emails did you have with the agent, making sure all the correct files were uploaded? And he's like, oh, you're missing this file. Can you send this one as well? This data is missing on this file. So all of those validation steps, our AI agent will do on the front end of our customer's website. So by the time these documents reach our customer's servers, all of the relevant information is there. The customer has been already validated, so we know that like it's a real customer with real data. It's been de-risked, so we can say, hey, no, like no document with like sensitive information has been uploaded, because you don't know what these random people are going to upload. So it's a genuine risk for a lot of these businesses. So that's really how we approach this, is that we work with businesses who are every single day having to validate hundreds of thousands of different applications from their customers that have tens, if not hundreds of pages each.
So you're an engineer who's built this from scratch, probably, but you probably also have a team. What do you say about the talent in the market that's building AI today? Do you think they have um, all the resources they need? Do you think they know what best looks like, or do you think there's a race to build AI ML solutions without aspiring for that benchmark that would make sure everything is running a-okay?
So modern AI in 2025 is alchemy. You could figure out a way to combine things in such a way and get gold. And what I mean by that is these revelations of thinking loops, for example, is an example of that. These AI models that can reason and think. All that's really happening there is that they take the output. So they ask the AI a question, the AI returns initial answer. Now, if you were to take that answer from the AI and feed it back into itself and tell it to generate more, and then you keep that and doing that into a loop, that actually generates better results. That was very recently discovered. Nobody knows why, really. The initial thinking of it is that, okay, if I take a photocopy and photocopy it and photocopy it and photocopy it, it's going to become lower and lower and lower quality. Or you've probably seen that, it's the snake eating its own tail. That's the way that I initially thought about it. But then after reading these papers and seeing these experiments, then know that actually the AI thinking or just running itself into a loop where it feeds itself the own answer actually improves the performance of these models. And the kind of like revelation that we had at Discrepancy, kind of the things that we're doing slightly differently, is that instead of the model feeding the answer back into itself, we have multiple AI models lined up, and one feeds the answer to the other, to the other, to the other. So in terms of like advancements in how AI models work and what they can do, we are scratching the surface. So yeah, that being said, there's so many more advancements that we can make based on what people can do. And it's not everything is like on the super high end researchers requirements. There's a lot of things that you can do in the application of it to get way better results. Now, AI also like has helped us not require as big of a team and be able to scale even more without requiring a team. So we want to be a very AI centric company where we don't just like sell AI products internally, we use them as well. So that's helping me kind of like be the equivalent of like 10 developers and push out features much faster. And literally me and another co-founder and two contractors is all that we need. And we've already accelerated to 12K a month in revenue, and we can keep going without hiring any new people all the way up to 500K a year. So the reality is that AI can't only help me review documents; it can also help me code, and it can help me create marketing campaigns, and help me write content, and do social media outreach, do LinkedIn posts, and so many other things that before would require a team member for each thing. Now I can just, because I know how to use AI and I know how to get the most out of it, I can set up these agents to kind of like perform all these tasks.
That's really, really cool. It's rare to see people using AI even when they're selling AI solutions. So I think that's really good. When you talk to businesses, what are some of the things that they tell you are their challenges with AI?
The biggest challenge that a lot of businesses have is really the time to figure it out. Every week it changes, and there's new, latest, more cutting edge things, and it needs to be your life, or you're going to be overwhelmed very, very, very quickly. Now, that being said, the biggest competitor that we have at Discrepancy is the buy versus build decision. So it's a double-edged sword for a lot of businesses. AI changes so rapidly that for you to keep on top of it, it's better to hire someone whose job it is to work with AI. But it also makes development easier for you. So you could in theory build many tools yourself as well. So yeah, that's kind of like one of the largest pain points that businesses have, I would say, is the ability to stay on top of what the latest, most cutting edge way to do something is.
You recently went to a business conference in Canada where you had a lot of financial services participants meet and talk about different solutions. What are some of the observations you have from that event?
Yeah, so I went to a couple. I was at one in Toronto and another one in Calgary, and I'll tell you some interesting things. First of all, adoption of AI is not as high as we thought. So apparently, one of the talks that I went to said that only about 20% of people use AI in their workplace, which is crazy low. Crazy, right? Like I couldn't imagine. But yeah, so actually AI adoption, especially in financial, fintech, insurtech, these types of industries is actually quite slower than we think. There's still a lot of innovation and there's still a lot of efficiencies to be had. So yeah, that's one of the main learnings that I had, is that there is still a lot of efficiencies that you can bring to these industries by innovating in AI, and a lot of them are kind of like they don't know what the latest and cutting edge tools are, and a lot of them don't care. And the thing that's more important to them is how you solve their problem. So yeah, that's one of the things that I learned from those conferences that was super interesting and kind of caught me off guard, is how much more room there is for AI companies to innovate in the fintech space.
Taking a step back from just your solution in the AI sphere, what else what do you see? What is interesting? What's exciting? And what are companies attracted towards with AI?
Yeah, so I see the latest, the kind of like the next stage of AI advancement is not selling technology but selling solutions, right? So companies don't want, like, let me give you my example. They we have a platform. They can go, they can set up exactly what they want the AI model to look for, but that takes time, and they don't want that. What they want is like an AI employee that just figures it out on their own and just does all of the multi steps without any human involvement. So that's really, in my opinion, the next stage, is getting AI agents that are going to be self monitoring, that can do things on their own and don't require as much human feedback. And then beyond that, if you want to get a little technical, I see these things called action tokens, or instead of LLMs, you have like action, so like movements, and like that combined with the robotics is we're gonna in the next few years we're gonna see what happened to knowledge work start happening with all work, where AI can really start taking a lot of these jobs. But the reality of the situation is right now we're not even at 10% AI side. I would say that AI can probably do 4 to 5% of human jobs at the moment. So there's a lot of hype out there. The line is very steady. So if you can follow a straight line, you know that AI will get there. But there's a lot of hype happening right now. And the reality is that currently, as it stands, there's a lot of human intervention that's needed, or human in the loop, as it's called. But the next stage is definitely these AI agents that can reason on their own what they need to do to complete a task. And mainly it's sorting the multi-step flow. How do you get these AI models to have multiple steps where they decide what the next step is, and they decide when to end, when to stop, right? Like, so those are really the next stage. Because right now, like, let's say on Discrepancy AI, they would have to define what requirements they need for a user, what document types, what data, and just using natural language, much simpler than any other way to do it in the market. But that is currently the biggest bottleneck, is figuring out what it is that you're looking for and really outlining that concisely. But the next stage is you're going to have these AI agents that figure it out themselves. You give them just one overarching end goal. They figure out the steps they need to take themselves, what the next step is, and then ultimately when everything's been completed, and then they can finish.
So you mentioned using AI agents in your own business where, they correspond with the customer, ask them for information and sort of, feed that into the system, validate and make sure that they're getting the right information. So a lot of LinkedIn posts, for example, will talk about sales agents, and you used to get robocalls in the past, and now you
Yeah.
actually get calls from agents who can listen to what you're saying, respond back fairly decently. So what is the difference between that and the future state that you're talking about?
Yeah, so how agents work is pretty much an AI model that runs in a loop and has access to tools, and determines the difference is that what those phone agents are doing has been laid out very precisely via a script and flows that they can take. So somebody has worked really, really hard for each separate flow that they want to do. And that's currently how our Discrepancy AI works as well, where You set up the agent flow on our platform. You say, hey, do this, and then look for that, and then look for this, and then make sure this data is there. And if it's not, check them. So setting up everything that the agent needs to do, then that's currently how it works. The end goal, the next level of this is the AI just has make the sale as its end goal, and how it reaches out, sends an email, sends a LinkedIn message, sends a phone, how initiate the loop, put it in closed lost bucket. So these are really the next level, is where the AI can figure out itself what my next steps need to be and how do I execute each step and when am I done, whether it's won or lost, and I can finish this task and move on to the next task, or as far as the AI knows, when it finishes, it dies. It's done. So yeah, that's the really big difference, is that right now these agents, as they are today, they're kind of like bespoke, built by hand by humans, and each step that it takes is like meticulously planned out and orchestrated. And the next level is that the AI itself will figure out all these steps, plan these steps, and execute them, and finish itself.
So you run, an AI startup, I would say. Have you been looking for funding, and what has the journey been like?
Yeah, the journey has been good. We've just recently, like in the past week or so, opened up our funding round, and it's been very strong. We're already like have LOIs for about 750K. We're looking to raise 1.2. So there's still some room, but we're slowly we're closing up, and all of the investors in our pipeline. I know, I have a feeling we're gonna get oversubscribed on this round, but yeah, just opened our funding round and had some conversations with investors, and yeah, like things are looking really good. I already have a lot of commitments, but the main thing that I'm focusing on is growing that revenue, talking with customers, and make sure that we build products that are solving their problems and not just like cool tech.
So I want to ask you about your experience when you're reaching out for funding. What is your experience? Do you see people understanding AI better than the customers in probably the largest segments of businesses? Do you see them asking the right questions, or do you see a little bit of skepticism when it comes to AI from the people that you're seeking those funds from?
Skepticism isn't the right word. I would say it's everyone has AI fatigue. Like they've already heard so many different things with AI, and they've seen them. Like people are believers now. So it's not skepticism in it, but it's like the main thing is like, sure, your thing can do it now, but then next month AGI will be here and it can do everything. Well, if AI can do everything, then what's the point of doing anything? So that's just really a defeatist way to look at it. The way I look at it is that since we're built on top of these models, as they get better, we will get better. So that's why I'm not trying to sell technology here. I'm trying to solve solutions for our customers. The way that we package the technology and the way that we just kind of like a white glove service for our customers, that's what matters. Because yeah, again, at the end of the day, customers just the saying is they want a quarter-inch hole, not a quarter-inch drill bit, right? Like they don't care about your solution. It's just a means to an end for that, a means to an end for them. They care about their problem being solved.
All right. I think we're probably at the end of our segment. In your opinion or in your thoughts, what would be some of the top AI use cases that you would use in your business as a business owner? You already talked about marketing. What are other things that you would sort of consider in the next couple of months?
Yeah, well, coding is of course the number one. Like it's every single line of code that I push is written by AI, and then I just act as like the senior dev, like the lead dev. I just review that code. I add little things here and there, but the age of humans writing code is kind of done. But the age of humans reading code, I think that's just begun. I mean, like, yeah, maybe one day it'll be better than all of us. And when that day comes, it will review its own code as well. But as it stands, it needs humans reviewing code, but it is definitely better than us at writing code. But you need to review it carefully as you would a junior developer before you push any of those changes. So pretty much writing content, I use AI to do that. Writing code, writing social media posts, emails. So pretty much all of the actions that like a CEO needs to take, I am automating with AI, and a lot of it is like my English is a second language for me, right? Like AI can write blog articles better than I can. It can't code better than me yet because I've been doing it for like 20 years, but it's close. but it can code faster than me. So that's why I leverage it to write all the code, and then I read it, I validate it, and then I change what needs to be changed. But mainly it does a very good job at coding. It's really, really good. Yeah, and that's really it. All of the actions that you take as a CEO can be automated, or at least made a lot more efficient with AI.
Any advice for professionals who are thinking about starting their own, company, or thinking about building something? What would you say they can do with, by leveraging AI?
Yeah. So the number one thing, AI makes it really easy to just do it. All right. So that's my number one thing. Do not spend too long agonizing over little features of the product. Here's what I would recommend. You find a problem that needs to be solved by talking to lots of people. All right. You create a super cut and dry, super dirty prototype, mainly to just prove that it's possible using AI coding assistants. There's so many of them. And then throw up a landing page and start distribution, because that is the real work. Distribution is the real work right now. And AI can kind of like help you write content, but you have to do the work of getting people to your website, creating posts, reaching out on LinkedIn, sending emails, doing cold calls. All of these things that lead to distribution are things that AI agents can't do on their own yet. They can help you, but you still have to do the work. Don't spend too much time. Do not spend money on the product. Do not outsource your product overseas. Do not spend $1 million to just have a product before you even have validation for it. Get the validation first. Create a landing page, get signups. Then you can spend money on developers. So yeah, that's my advice. Right now, building the product has become the easiest part, honestly. The hardest part is validation and distribution. So focus on those, validate the idea, and get good distribution, and then worry about, you're going to be able to build a product. That won't be an issue.
Okay, awesome. Any question that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
No, you did a good job. It was a pretty comprehensive interview.
Okay, all right. Thanks everyone, and thanks Lyson for joining us. I'm really excited to speak with you, and it was a fun conversation. I hope our audience learns more about what your company does and what is really interesting in the data space with AI right now. Thanks everyone. See you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.